never give up attacking your servants, or I will continue to lead your servants astray for as long as their souls are in their body. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, He replies, then I will continue to pardon them for as long as they ask me for forgiveness. SubhanAllah. This is tawbah. This is turning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, asking His mercy. Ya Allah, you love to forgive. You are the forgiving, so forgive me. The Prophet ﷺ gave this to Aisha when she asked, if we was to locate Laylatul Qadr, what should we say? He said, ask Allah to pardon you. He is the pardoner. He loves to pardon, so pardon me. So why aren't we using this the rest of the year? You think this is just for Laylatul Qadr? This is for every night. This is for every day. That we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have mercy on us. Oh Allah, I can't make it without you. I confess to you, Allah, I wronged myself. I did this. And if you don't help me, Ya Allah, I'm finished. Allah is hearing me right now. Y'all sitting here, I'm making real dua for me. Right now. I need Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So why don't we do this often? Often. SubhanAllah. Tawbah, when the believer commits a sin, again, the black dot appears on the heart. If he repents, he gives up the sin and seeks forgiveness, his heart is polished. However, if the sin increases, the black dots increase. And that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentions this in His book. He says, nay, but on the heart of the ran, the covered with sin and the covered with evil, this is ran, they will wear what they have earned. SubhanAllah. You know, there's a good consequence and there's a bad consequence. And when you do the good, you earn the good. And when you do the bad, you earn the bad. So we should really strive and struggle hard to turn ourselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even more. Even more. I mentioned two things last week. Questions that you should ask yourself in order to make a just assessment. I'll give them to you again at the end of our session, inshallah ta'ala. Another heart softener is the remembrance of death. The remembrance of death. We should make a habit of going to the graveyard. Really. After Fajr on Saturday morning, you should be at the graveyard. You should go to the graveyard. And remember death. Increase your remembrance of death. For any servant who increases his remembrance, Allah will revive the heart. Huh? Allah will revive the heart and ease death for him. So we're talking about cleaning this heart up so that we have the proper love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that our actions and behavior will become permissible and we fight off the evil. So it's all about this piece of flesh that's in your chest. Remember death. The Prophet ﷺ said, remember the destroyer of pleasure. And he was meaning death. This is recorded in Tirmidhi. Reflect on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's creation. And this will be my last one. To reflect on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's creation. You know, when we say, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, all praise and thanks belongs to Allah, the Lord of the Alameen. The Lord of all creation. Not some creation, all creation. And think about it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives sustenance to everything. Everything. And he's not tired from it. Nothing is diminished from his magnificence. If we reflect on this, that everything eats, even down to the germ. You know, the germ eats. The molecule eats. And Allah provides for all of these things. How grateful should we be? Especially the spoiled brats in America. I mean, you go to your tap, you regulate the water if you don't like it. No, this is too cold. We want it a little hotter. Oh, this is too hot. We like it a little cold. We walk into a building, it's too warm in here, we like to cool it off. How grateful should we be when others have to go down to the river and get water that they're going to wash with, that they're going to use to cook with, that they're going to drink, and it's not decent enough water for none of it? Where's our gratitude? We have to put more gratitude in our attitude. That's what we have to do. Take that little cliche with you. Put more gratitude in your attitude. SubhanAllah. Reflect on the creation, the magnificence that Allah has placed in His creation. When you look at the stars and the moon and those things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed light years away from you. Light years away. He says He's created His universe in a manner exactly computed. That means everything's running its course exactly as it's supposed to. Exactly as it's supposed to. If we was a millimeter further away from the sun, we would freeze and die. Or a millimeter closer, we would burn. Exactly computed. Allah knew what He was doing when He did it, or before He did it. So we should reflect on the creation. When I lived in New York, I was a member of the Stargazers Club. And me and my wife, Sister Dajmila, went to the beach because no trees around, no buildings. And at that time, the closest planet was Mars. And we had the telescopes, and we was watching Mars. And then when you watched Mars, you had to move the telescope because Mars was moving. You know, everything was in motion. And I kept saying, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. So the man that was hosting the Stargazers Club, he said, "What's your husband saying?" He said, "He's praising God for the movement of the universe." How grateful should we be that Allah has provided for us everything? Subhanallah. So we should reflect on the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and allow it to soften our hearts. We haven't done anything. Nothing. If I've said anything that was incorrect, do we still have a little bit of time? I want to do one more. And that's the grave. We touched on it briefly. I just want to give a little bit of significance to it. It's in many places in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us to reflect on various things that He has created. And also, in the grave, He says, reflect on the fact, or death, and visiting the grave. Reflect on the fact that this is your destination. Perhaps you will start to understand that the good that you yearn to do, you should do it right away. Because you don't know. You're here today and you can be gone today. I was coming out of the masjid one time and I was going to get a brother something from my home. And I said, give me a couple of minutes, Aki, I'll be right back. And one brother was walking by me, he said, brother, you give yourself too much time. You don't know if you have a few minutes. You could be gone in a couple of seconds. So you should live in your moment. Right now you are here. You are in this gathering. This is where you at. Stay in your moment. Whatever's in it, take from it. Let it nurture and nourish you. Let it nurture and nourish you. Because when you leave here, you go to the next moment. You go to the next moment. And you have to draw from that too. So when you go to the graves, remember it's your final destination. Remind yourself of the good that you need to do before you become an occupant. Do good deeds before death. Benefits the soul. It's when you do the good deeds. It benefits the soul. Also, it incorporates your making the dawah. And it takes you from this world to the akhirah. It makes you reflect. I'm leaving here. Everything here is going to die. So let us be of those brothers and sisters who reflect on death and visit the graves. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik wa ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Any questions, any comments, please?
Yeah. Assalamu
alaikum.
Yeah, I can. That definitely made me reflect when you talk about death, and when that calamity, when that test happened to me, when I got very sick, and I came closer to it, I can reflect over. When I went to my brother's house, and I went over there when I got out of the hospital, and it was just a different essence of life coming closer to that. Understanding that I was not in control for a particular amount of time. How the essence of time changed, where you're resting for 3 or 4 days, 3 days, and it felt like you were just sleeping overnight, but you were in a coma. I remember I went to lead the salah at his house, and I couldn't lead it. I tried to lead the salah, but my heart was so soft. And I was so grateful for Allah for the moment to be able to breathe and to live. And could I even say the Al-Fatiha? I couldn't even recite the Al-Fatiha because but it was joy. I wasn't weeping over sorrow. I was weeping with joy that I had the moment to be able to stand there and lead this prayer before my Lord. His Majesty was at a highest level it had ever been in my life when I stood there. And I've cried reciting Quran before, but at this moment, I couldn't even say nothing but Alhamdulillah. I just kept trying and I could not. That's enough. Alhamdulillah. So when you're saying about the heart softener, I experienced it on a whole nother level when I came closer to death, the reflection of death.
You know, when we experience any life-changing episodes, for example, I had a stroke, and for all practical purposes, that day I was ready to get up and go to Jummah. When being inside the body, I had to ask my wife, is it as bad as they're making it seem? Because I felt like I was okay. But then when I tried to use some of my body parts, I found myself unable to do this. And I know that strokes, they'll take you out of here. And I had a gang of people coming to visit me at the hospital, so much so they had to put me in another room because it was disturbing the guy that I was in the room with. And when everybody left and it got quiet, it was silent, I spoke to my Lord. I said, "Yo, Lord, if you take me, I'm satisfied. If you leave me, I'm satisfied. It's all in your hands, and I accept that." See, this is the deal when you're talking about death. You have to accept this. You know, this is really going to happen to me. I'm leaving here. And you have to be satisfied with that. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. You know, so inshallah ta'ala, you know, I pray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that these few words are beneficial. You know, again, if I've said anything that is wrong, that's on me. And if I've said anything that is correct, it's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it's a guidance for all of us. So, inshallah ta'ala, stay tuned. I don't know if everybody's on TMC. This is where the announcements come from for class and activities and things that we're looking to do in the future. And not only that we're looking to do them, we're looking for you to do them with us. We need muscle, we need activity, we need brothers that want to roll up their sleeve and exemplify this deen with the prophetic model. We want the prophetic model for this deen, you know. So inshallah ta'ala, jazakumullah khair. Somebody's going to call the adhan for salat, inshallah.